Hello and welcome to the morning after live here on this Thursday on Sports Grid and Sirius XM channel 159. That's the home for Sports Grid Radio on Sirius XM, all across the Sports Grid network as well. I am Ben Stevens. It is a big Thursday in the world of sports. It is the final week beginning of the NFL preseason. Week number 3 gets started tonight with 2 games that we will break down for you over the course of these next 2 hours here on TMA, bringing you up until 11 a.m. Eastern time on your Thursday morning. Of course, it's the home stretch of the Major League Baseball regular season. We'll go all around the bigs and the playoff implications, divisional wild card races, and every effect from last night on the diamond. But we begin with that preseason finale. Week number 3. This is it. One final week, because 2 weeks from today, the 2022 NFL regular season begins in Los Angeles, the site of Super Bowl 56, with the Super Bowl champion Los Angeles Rams hosting the Buffalo Bills. But before we get there, week 3 of the preseason begins tonight. An intriguing game in Kansas City, Missouri. Inside Arrowhead Stadium, the Green Bay Packers pay the Kansas City Chiefs a visit. And we have seen tons of movement on this number working itself in favor of Green Bay. 1.5 points is what the Pack lays on the road tonight in KC against the Chiefs. A total that is relatively low by the standards we have seen over the last 16 games of this NFL preseason, sitting now at 35 in a hook. We got word yesterday from Packers head coach Matt LaFleur that none of his regular starters, the number ones maybe we had seen earlier this preseason, would play in the finale tonight against the Kansas City Chiefs. That means no Aaron Rodgers at all through the 3 games of this NFL preseason in 2022. Aaron Rodgers is 38 years old. He's about to embark on his 18th year in the National Football League. We don't really need to see Aaron in the preseason, but Patrick Mahomes had played in each of the first 2 games for the Chiefs. We'll have Carrington Harrison on later in this show from Kansas City to detail what that execution will look like and who will play for the Chiefs this evening. Now, we use the preseason at times to take those optics and put them to the outlook for the regular season in 2022. And both the Packers and the Chiefs, facing off tonight in Arrowhead, have maintained divisional dominance in each of their respective divisions over the last few seasons in the National Football League. The Packers have won the NFC North 3 straight years in 8 of the last 11 seasons. That is why Green Bay is booked once again as an odds-on favorite to win the NFC North entering 2022 at minus 155. It's the same number for the Chiefs, but a different sign in front of the 155 plus 155 for Kansas City in the AFC West, what we all expect to be the most competitive division in all of football this year. But for the last 6 seasons, it's been KC dominating this division. 6 straight divisional championships, 4 straight 12-win seasons, for Kansas City, 3 straight 13-win seasons for the Green Bay Packers. So divisional dominance between Kansas City and Green Bay tonight. They will get week 3 of the preseason started in KC Mo this evening inside Arrowhead. The Houston Texans host the San Francisco 49ers in the other NFL preseason game tonight that starts week number 3. A welcome to our Sports Grid Radio audience here. The opening hour of the morning after, live on Sports Grid on this Thursday. Sirius XM channel 159, all of our terrestrial radio affiliates as well. I am Ben Stevens. Thank you for joining us here on this Thursday. It's not just the preseason and the final week of that week number 3 starting tonight. It's the ending, or the near ending, I should say, of the regular season in Major League Baseball. About 40 games left for most teams around MLB. That home stretch, that postseason push is front and center and the top of mind for everybody, including divisional races. And in the National League East, the Mets maintained a stronghold on this division for pretty much most of this season. The Atlanta Braves are carving that way into that divisional lead in the National League East right now because the Braves keep winning baseball games, including a 14-2 blowout on the road in Pittsburgh yesterday against the Pirates, good for a 3-game sweep for Atlanta. 14 runs by the Braves yesterday, the second most they have scored all season long. They scored 16 early on in April against the Washington Nationals. Matt Olson hit a grand slam in the 8th. They had held Pittsburgh scoreless until the 9th inning, so it was 14-0 for a good while there before Pittsburgh scratched across 2 in the home half of the 9th. But still a 14-2 win for the Braves. And Atlanta now has won 14 of their last 16, cutting into the Mets' lead in the NL East. Now for the Amazons, it's only a 1.5 game advantage over the Atlanta Braves. And the Mets still an odds-on favorite at minus 280. But at the ending of the series last week, between the Braves and the Mets in Atlanta, the Mets had a 4.5 game lead, or at least minus 450 to win that division. I believe the lead was actually 3.5, but you see that divisional lead going less, and those odds to win the National League East shorter and shorter. That distinction between the Braves and the Mets grows closer by the day. The Mets were off yesterday. They're back in action at home today. Jacob deGrom on the bump. The Braves are off before they visit St. Louis this weekend. Much more around Major League Baseball coming your way next on the Morning After.
Sports Grid, your 24/7 sports wagering network.
They play less games.
The early line.
Take a look at the top 4 seeds here in the Big Ten. They're going to play
Aaron
less
Rodgers
games.
and
the morning
Russell
after.
Wilson. We saw movement in the marketplace like
Orlando
Fantasy
Magic.
sports
The Cleveland
today.
Cavaliers are a little thin as well.
Newswire.
Minus 160 favorite on the money line today for Arizona.
Pharrell coast to coast.
That's where they win cups. They win Stanley Cups over there. Give me the
Game
Penguins.
time
Kind of
decisions.
bizarre when you consider everybody is out for the Warriors.
In-game live all
I
access.
like Vandy against Bama. I think Vandy can win the game, take it 4.5.
In-game live. Prime time.
The PGA champion.
In-game live. Overtime.
done before the final bet.
Get the winning edge. Only on Sports Grid.
Maurice Allen, 2015-2016 European Long Drive Tour champion, 2017 world number 1. Me personally, I keep my game face on me all the time. Especially coming out of the bunker, leaving the range, or even leaving the course. What's your story?
The early line.
They sent out a Jordan Montgomery, who evidently is the best pitcher in baseball. I know it's the Cubs. I don't care. A complete game one-hitter.
And how about this, too? On the road in Chicago at Wrigley against one of your hated rivals here. Now, we know the Chicago Cubs aren't having a great season by any stretch of 52-69, but isn't these are the type of wins that you need?
Only on Sports Grid. Fantasy sports today.
Now at tight end, Mo Alley Cox Davis is one of those. I feel like over the course of 17 games, I'm going to be doing a show with you, or I'm going to watch a show somewhere else, and someone's going to tell him this is the week at DFS to play Mo Alley Cox.
I think the thorn in his side, though, is going to be the tight end that they drafted in the 3rd round this year to kind of take up some of those Jack Doyle snaps, who is Jelani Woods.
The Sports Grid Network.
The Diamond Dash, all around Major League Baseball, about 40 games left of this regular season, just over a month remaining in the hunt for October. And we mentioned it in the opening segment. The Braves blowing out the Pirates yesterday in Pittsburgh, 14-2. A blowout of the Buccos that results in a sweep for Atlanta. And the Braves have won 14 of their last 16 games, cutting into the Mets' lead in the National League East, but New York's still up by a game and a half. Listen, Atlanta is going to be a postseason team once again. The reigning World Series champions, whether it's a divisional championship or that top wild card spot, Atlanta is going to be playing in October because the Braves right now hold a 10-game advantage for that top spot in the National League wild card. And the Braves' odds to win the NL right now, that pennant market on the FanDuel Sportsbook, plus 490, the third best number, only behind the Dodgers and the Mets. The Phillies occupy that second wild card spot. They are 17-1 in the National League, the sixth best price. The Padres, that final wild card spot at the moment, 2 games behind Philly, 12-1 to win the National League right now, tied for the fourth best odds with the St. Louis Cardinals, and the Brewers are 21-1. Milwaukee is trailing St. Louis in the National League Central, as we'll get to in just a couple of moments, by 5.5 games, and still a game and a half back of San Diego for that third and final NL wild card spot. And listen, things aren't great right now in San Diego, and things are going pretty well right now for the St. Louis Cardinals. We'll go all around Major League Baseball here in this Diamond Dash. We begin in Wrigley Field yesterday. Things are going well for the Cardinals for the most part, but they had an 8-game win streak snapped yesterday against the Cubs, or 2 days ago rather, in a doubleheader, and then the Cubbies backed that up with a win yesterday inside Wrigley Field, beating the Cardinals 7-1. And despite the fact that St. Louis loses yesterday, the Cardinals have still won 20 of their last 26 games. So, okay, they have split this 4-game set so far against the Cubs. They will play each other for a fifth and final time inside the friendly confines this afternoon. St. Louis, a slight minus 118 road favorite against the Cubs today at the moment. But it's not so much against this divisional foe the Cardinals have any concern. Again, St. Louis has won 20 of its last 26 games, and St. Louis still holds a 5.5 game lead in the National League Central, growing that lead over the Brewers, and Milwaukee unable to do much about it at the moment. The Cardinals now a minus 600 favorite, substantially favored to win the National League Central right now over the Brewers. Milwaukee shut out the Dodgers in the opening game of their set in LA on Monday, 4-0. The first time the Dodgers had been shut out at home all year long. LA responds with 10 2 days ago, 12 runs yesterday. Milwaukee unable to make up any ground right now in the National League Central. And as we showed you there with the Padres odds in that National League wild card race, it's the same price for the Redbirds at 12-1. Again, tied for the fourth best number to win the National League pennant at this moment. Speaking of San Diego, I mentioned the Padres had so much optimism following the trade deadline, the acquisition in the Soto sweepstakes to get Juan Soto. Fernando Tatis Jr. was on his way back. Josh Hader, one of the best closers in baseball, now a member of that Padres organization. Well, it hasn't worked out all that well. Josh Hader doesn't look anything like the form of Josh Hader that we once knew. Juan Soto's been all right. And of course, Fernando Tatis Jr. suspended for 80 games for violating the PED policy, speaking to members of the media for the first time earlier this week. And the Padres, since that trade deadline on Tuesday, August 2nd, have lost 12 of 20 games, just 8-12 since that trade deadline, including yesterday getting shut out at home by the Cleveland Guardians, who won both of the 2 games in a short set in San Diego, and Cleveland yesterday winning 7-0. So that's big for the Padres, who again occupy that third and final National League wildcard spot, but still hold a game and a half lead for that final wildcard spot over the Milwaukee Brewers. But even bigger for the Guardians in that battle for the top spot in the American League Central. Cleveland gets another win yesterday, and now a 4-game advantage for the Guardians over both the Twins and the White Sox in the AL Central at the moment. And their odds to win the division working even more in Cleveland's favor. Now, minus 175 to win this division. Over the course of the past 48 hours, we have seen Cleveland up its lead in the standings component of the American League Central and up the price if you want to back the Guardians to win as that odds-on favorite. Flipping to minus 105 earlier this week, it was minus 160 in Cleveland's favor to win the AL Central, entering that second and final game in San Diego yesterday. Now, 15 cents of movement, even more so backing the Guardians at minus 175. So Cleveland in a prime position now to win that division. And both the Twins and the White Sox trail the third and final American League wildcard spot that the Mariners currently occupy by 4 games as well. So it seems as that postseason picture in the American League and really across all of Major League Baseball becomes a little bit clearer, a little bit more solidified this week in the home stretch of the MLB regular season, that only the winner of the American League Central, right now the Guardians firmly in that number 1 spot, will be the only team out of that division to represent the American League Central in the AL playoff picture. The last 2 years, the Tampa Bay Rays have been the number 1 overall seed in the American League playoff picture. So as we get nearer to October, it's a familiar position for the Rays, and Tampa continuing to display that. The Rays have now won 5 straight games. Well, they win yesterday at home, 4-3 in extras, 11 innings to be exact, over the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. It was a picture-perfect meme day for those Halos, where Mike Trout does something cool and Shohei Ohtani scores a run in extras, and the Angels still find a way to lose that baseball game. The Rays have won 5 straight. The Halos have lost 5 straight, and Shane McClanahan and the Rays, Shane getting the start for Tampa yesterday, booked as a minus 300 pregame favorite. They make good on that number, winning in extras 4-3 in 11 innings. And Shane McClanahan was fantastic. This game, in fact, was scoreless on both sides through 7.5 innings, and McClanahan went 6 innings of shutout baseball, only allowing 4 hits, striking out 9 Angels yesterday. McClanahan is not going to win the American League Cy Young anymore. It's probably going to be Justin Verlander, but after allowing 13 combined earned in McClanahan's last 4 starts, a much better performance yesterday against the Halos. But it was Mike Trout who opened up the scoring in the game for the Angels in the top of the 8th. He hit his 26th home run of the year. He has hit home runs in back-to-back games in Tampa Bay, and yet the Angels still lose that baseball game. In fact, it was the Halos that scored first in the 11th inning, and then Tampa scores 2 in the bottom of the 11th for the walk-off victory, including a throwing error on behalf of Anaheim that led to that game-winning run. So Tampa wins yesterday. They've won 5 straight games. They own the top spot in the American League wild card right now, a half game in front of the Blue Jays, and the Blue Jays a full game in front of the Seattle Mariners. And the Baltimore Orioles trail the M's for that third and final AL wildcard spot by 2.5 games. So as we look at those odds in the American League pennant and try to figure out what the postseason picture looks like at the moment, the Astros the favorites, plus 145. The Yankees about 65 cents behind at plus 210. A significant drop-off to Toronto's price at plus 700. And then double that to the Mariners at 14-1. Cleveland and Tampa 17-1 at the moment. The 6 best odds in the American League are the 6 teams that, if the season were to end today, would be in that postseason picture in the American League. Speaking of the postseason, the first round of the WNBA playoffs is done. The semifinal series are set. James Young joins the show next.
Pharrell, Coast to Coast.
Do you believe he has the stones to fire both of them? His dad would have.
I don't. I think Boone is safe, no matter what happens. Maybe if they don't win the East, but that's almost impossible. So I think he's safe. Cashman's contract, I believe, is up after this year. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I would think he'd be in a lot more trouble than Boone would.
The Sports Grid Network. The Early Line.
Football is always so much fun because you see new players literally every single year, and the anticipation is stupendous once it gets underway. And we're really close to that. A 12:30 game overseas this weekend between Northwestern and Nebraska. And yeah, you're going to settle into Connecticut playing Utah State with a 27.5-point line. Everybody gets in the way. Big Ten, Pac-12. We cannot wait for this.
Only on Sports Grid. The morning after.
Why are you buying in on Dylan's stock for 2022?
Aaron Jones has been remarkably consistent for the Packers, and I kind of see him playing almost Alvin Kamara role in the slot, sitting about wide. And I think they're going to try and save him from taking this, ground and pound, and they're going to leave that role to A.J. Dillon to have this kind of more of a balanced approach because they need a little more consistency in their passing game. I think it helps that the Packers' offensive line is right now ranked 5th.
The Sports Grid Network. Fantasy Sports Today.
Now at tight end, Mo Alley Cox Davis is one of those. I feel like over the course of 17 games, I'm going to be doing a show with you, or I'm going to watch a show somewhere else, and someone's going to tell him this is the week at DFS to play Mo Alley Cox.
I think the thorn in his side, though, is going to be the tight end that they drafted in the 3rd round this year to kind of take up some of those Jack Doyle snaps, who is Jelani Woods.
The Sports Grid Network.
You might be the next daily fantasy millionaire. No matter what you watch or where you play, learn from the world's best DFS players. Lineup building tools, expert projections, and advanced stats change the way you play the game. Dominate the competition. DailyRoto.com, the player's choice.
Pro Football Doc has found its new home right here with Sports Injury Central. And with that comes our expansion into other sports. Sports Injury Central will give you nonstop exclusive injury analysis from experienced team doctors from all 3 major sports. Doctors with resumes that include teams like the Chicago Bulls, the Texas Rangers, and the LA Chargers. So gain a fantasy, DFS, and betting edge right now for free at SICScore.com.
What more could you ask for in playoff action? A win or go home opportunity in 2 of the 4 opening round series in the WNBA playoffs. And that was the case last night in Dallas. So to break it all down and to set the stage quickly for the semifinal series in the W and some NBA news and notes, because the NBA offseason can never just quiet down, our coach, James Young, joins us here on this Thursday, live on the morning after on Sports Grid. JY, we are glad to have you here as always.
Big Ten Ben. I mean, I'm just excited. I'm coming on week 0 of college football kicking off this week. A little time for JY. Don't hurt anybody on the network.
We always got to keep you around. And if you need some picks for week 0 of the college football slate, I will offer them in kind. So here we go through the WNBA playoffs. Last night in Dallas, winner take all, game number 3 after the Wings force that decisive game 3 over the weekend. Now, Connecticut last night, JY, booked as a 5.5, 6.5 point favorite on the road. It was tied at the halftime break, but then the Sun outscored the Wings by 11 in the 3rd, add on 4 more points in that margin in the 4th quarter, and end up winning by 15, 73-58. So the Sun has not set. They rise into the 2nd round, the semifinal series against the reigning WNBA champs in the Chicago Sky. JY, what stood out to you most about Connecticut's performance on the road last night?
Their grind. I mean, if you think about it, Dallas tried to jump them early, and the key segment of Jonquel Jones gets 3 fouls in the first half. I had her over 17.5. Obviously, that did not hit. But obviously the play of DeWanna Bonner down the stretch of the second quarter, including a big three-pointer to basically almost level the score, and then you get Jonquel back into the game with the 3 fouls to start the third quarter, and then everything went from there. 23-12 in the third. They went from, I believe, tied to up 11. So they really showed their muscle on the defensive end of the floor, holding Dallas to their lowest point total of the season of 58.
So the Sun advance to the semifinals, where they'll take on the reigning WNBA title winners in the Chicago Sky. No series odds out as of yet on the FanDuel Sportsbook, but Chicago does open up as a 2.5-point home favorite in the best-of-5 series, game number 1 on Sunday evening in the Windy City. We do have the series odds, though, out, JY, for the 1 seed against the 4 seed. The top seed in the WNBA postseason, the Las Vegas Aces, after a sweep of the Mercury, faced the Seattle Storm in Sue Bird's final year after Seattle sweeps Washington in the opening round. Now, the Aces, JY, a minus 245 outright series favorite. This is the series correct score market, where you see all 3 of those shortest prices heavily in favor of the Aces, the shortest number, plus 280 for Vegas to win in 4 games. JY, I ask you simply, who wins this series and how long does it go?
Ben, I think this is going 5. I mean, if you look at the star power in this series, from Kelsey Plum to Asia Wilson to Jackie Young to Hamby to Stewie to Sue Bird, on and on, Tina Charles, Jewel Lloyd, there is going to be a lot of firepower in this series. I'm going to say something right now. There is no way, in my opinion, that I think Sue Bird is going to lose her last home game. How does the series stack up? 2-2-1. What am I telling you? It's going 5. And at the 5th game elimination, winner take all, Ben, it could really be anybody's contest. I'm going to play this, Ben, how we smartly told people to take the Chicago-New York series. Split it in half. Las Vegas 3-2, 3-1. Seattle 3-2, 5-1. Split your money. I think this is going 5.
And it starts on Sunday in Vegas. The Aces, a 5.5-point home favorite for game number 1. For the opening game of this semifinal series, JY, what's the approach between Seattle and Las Vegas?
It's going to be, honestly, the play of the bigs. I really think this is Stewie and Asia Wilson, 2 of the best players in the sport. Stewie, arguably the MVP. But I've seen a lot out of Tina Charles since her contract divorce. I've said it a bunch of times. It's benefited Seattle because of an inside-outside presence. So I want to see that matchup really between the bigs. And I'm going to throw Tina Charles in there with, Brianna Stewart versus the combination of, Asia Wilson. And we'll see what they get out of some of their players. Kia Stokes has come off the bench, has gone to the starting lineup, 7 points, 6.5 rebounds during the first round series. Let's see if they get Hamby back, who has been injured. So that is there. When you look at the coaching matchup, you're going to get 2 of the best. And obviously we see what has gone on with the Aces, and they should be the title favorites. But Ben, we've talked about this a number of times. I got this feeling that this is, this ain't going to be Mamba out, with Sue Bird, dropping like that big 60-point the way that Kobe did. But it could be Sue Bird out with a WNBA championship. So right now, that 5-1 odds to win the WNBA championship is looking really good value to me.
All right, JY, let's make this prediction very quick. All 4 teams remaining within $4 of each other. The Aces, the even money betting favorite to win the WNBA championship at plus 100. It's the Sky versus the Sun. The Aces versus the Storm in the semifinals. Who does James Young have facing off for a WNBA championship on the line?
If you're asking me right now, I'm going Seattle 3-2, and I'm going Chicago 3-2. Seattle, Chicago in the WNBA finals.
I love it. We'll get more updates throughout the rest of this WNBA postseason. But JY, as you well know, the offseason in the NBA always continues to provide drama. Some breaking news last night in those wee overnight, late night hours, if you will. The Jazz and the Lakers have engaged in a trade that will send one Patrick Beverley to Los Angeles, where for the moment, JY, he is a teammate of one of his most bitter rivals in an individual in Russell Westbrook. JY, they can't play together, right? Russ and Pat Bev can't play together in LA. So what does this mean for the Lakers and maybe Russell Westbrook moving forward?
I mean, if those two are playing a game of horse, who do you got your money on? I mean, they may play all day with them broke jump shots. I'm just saying. I'm sorry, guys. Y'all do make a lot more money than me. I'm not hating. I'm just part of the conversation. But in regards to Pat Bev, I think this works in regards to it gives the Lakers a veteran presence, a moxie, a defender. But you can't play the two of them together. So to me, if you're bringing Pat Bev in, number one, who starts, who comes off the bench? Because both of those two ain't starting, and they already talked about Reeves going into the starting lineup next year, possibly at the two-guard spot. So who goes? Well, if Pat Bev comes, that means Russell Westbrook is gone. Look for a corresponding move to move Russell Westbrook away from the LA Lakers.
And that might be the next domino we see fall in this NBA offseason, because, JY, it was less than 24 hours after the biggest domino of this NBA summer. Kevin Durant got rid of his trade request in Brooklyn and will be back with the Nets for this upcoming season. And immediately following JY, we saw market movement that shaved the Nets' prices to win the Eastern Conference and the NBA championship down by half. 7-1 prior, plus 350 now in the East, the third best price. 15-1 to win the title, now 7-1, tied for the third best odds to win the Larry O'Brien Trophy this upcoming season. And that win total up by 7 games to 52.5. So, JY, where do you rank the Nets in the Eastern Conference? Are they a top 3 team, a top 5 team? Are they the favorites in your mind? Where does Brooklyn stack up in the East?
I just think right now, Ben, there's a lot of unknowns that people are not talking about. Number one, does Ben Simmons come back? Number two, does Ben Simmons play better? Number three, what is going to happen with the big man? Number four, what happens if there's a COVID outbreak? Is Kyrie going to get vaccinated? Number five, what do we do with Steve Nash when they have that, if they get off to a poor start? And listen, folks, they don't have an easy start. New Orleans, Toronto, Memphis, Milwaukee, Dallas to begin the season. That could seem trouble if they go up to, let's say, a 2-3, 1-4 start. So for me, over under, Ben, I'm going under. There's too many unknowns with this team, and can they stay healthy? And can they get along? Because to me, it wasn't that Kevin Durant pulled his trade request. The Nets just weren't getting a value worthy of trading him. That's a big, big difference. So when you look at that division really quickly in the Atlantic, I think Boston's better than them. I think Philadelphia is going to be a resurgent team. Look for them to be better. Of course, I already like Milwaukee, and I like Miami Heat. So I'm already giving you 4 teams I think that are better than them. I think you go under 52.5 for the Nets.
Only 44 wins a season ago since the Nets joined the NBA in the middle of the 70s when they were the New Jersey Nets. They have never gone over this win total of 52.5. JY, we were together on 2022 NBA draft night where Chet Holmgren went number 2 overall to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Some bad news for that young prospect for OKC yesterday. Potential torn ligaments in his foot from the crossover Pro-Am in Seattle over the weekend. They are establishing a timetable for his return, but not the start to his young NBA career that Chet Holmgren or the Thunder wanted. James Young does it all. WNBA postseason, NBA summer drama, all of it. JY, we appreciate your time. Look out for those week 0 best bets. I'll get them to you soon. More the morning after, up next.
Your heart's racing. The clock's running out. It all comes down to this. We're talking pregame. Pregame. Get locked in with Game Time Decisions. Your hosts, Gabe Morency and Cam Stewart, will get you ready for game time. Everything you need to know before a game goes off the board, with the bet slips to back it up. Make your best bet with live odds updates, late breaking news, up-to-the-minute injury reports, and real-time analytics from inside the sportsbooks. All the odds, all the action, from sports wagering insiders and industry pros like Donnie Rightside, Cam Lou, Cousin Sal, the Pro Football Doc, Dr. David Chow, and more. Get the winning edge every weekday afternoon from 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern, 3 to 4 Pacific. It's Game Time Decisions. Only on Sports Grid.
Maurice Allen, 2015-2016 European Long Drive Tour champion, 2017 world number 1. Me personally, I keep my game face on me all the time. Especially coming out of the bunker, leaving the range, or even leaving the course. What's your story?
Fantasy Sports Today.
The running back that appears to make the biggest jump, maybe in the last 2 months, maybe in all of fantasy, honestly, Davis, is Dameon Pierce for the University of Florida. And the beef that went on at Florida, Davis, is that people wanted to see him get the ball more. He really was never a primary running back at Florida. He's sort of a throwback guy in the sense that you give him the ball, he's never going to lose yards.
The Sports Grid Network. The morning after.
What was your reaction to the Yankees taking Game 1 of the Subway Series last night, even up against Max Scherzer?
You know, let's work backwards. Started with Jonathan Loaizaga. They need to kind of piece together the closer situation. That was the thing that struck me. Of course, we can talk about Aaron Judge and, homer number 47 and all that cool stuff, but I want to talk about the setup guy that was having a down year that might turn into the closer down the stretch, because that's what, baseball is, right? It's all about the boring stuff.
The Sports Grid Network. The Early Line.
This non-story is officially over. Tom Brady went away. Why? Because he can. He's Tom Brady. His wife, very publicly, has wanted him to retire. He did, and then he unretired. So, in a meaningless week of practice, he went out and was able to spend some time with his family. Make sure that everything is good. It was reported to be a work-life balance. It was reported that the Bucs knew it was coming.
Only on Sports Grid.
The final week of the NFL preseason starts tonight. 2 games, one in Kansas City, the other in Houston, Texas. We break them both down right now, live here on this Thursday on the morning after on Sports Grid. I'm Ben Stevens. Very pleased to welcome back onto the show. It is FanDuel Shantelle Chan joining us once again to handicap a little bit of Week 3 NFL preseason football and take that to look forward to the regular season, which Shantelle starts in just 2 weeks from today. How excited are you to have football back in our lives?
You know what's crazy? It's like for 6 months after the Super Bowl, I wait all year for the preseason, and then the preseason starts, and I'm like, you know what? I'm ready for the regular season. So that's exactly how I'm feeling right now. This is going to be a great week of final preseason games, and then the regular season starts, and I can't wait. Also, college football before then, so I'm all geared up for that. I know you're a big college football guy.
Oh, I am, Shantelle. Just 2 days away from Week 0 on Saturday and the start of the 2022 college football season. And it's the final week of the NFL preseason. So we see what happens Week 3, and then we get ready for the final days of training camp, the final cuts on rosters, and then everything is for real for the 2022 regular season. But to end us off, the start of Week 3 of the preseason tonight in Kansas City between the Chiefs and the Packers. And Shantelle, right now, Green Bay booked as a 1.5-point road favorite, a relatively small total at 35 and a hook for that over-under. Shantelle, what's your approach to week 3 of the preseason. We know the Packers aren't playing any starters tonight. We expect a similar script from Andy Reid and KC. So how do you handicap this final week of NFL preseason football?
Well, I feel like 35.5 is a little bit low on the over-under because Jordan Love is going to get his time to shine. He's going to be slinging it. And in his last game, 113 yards, 1 touchdown. Like you mentioned, we're not going to get the starters. I can't remember the last time we saw Aaron Rodgers in the game. So we're going to get to see Jordan Love ball out. And when I take a look at that, the Chiefs, you know what you're going to kind of get from them. They're going to be throwing it around as well, trying to figure out their wide receiver groups. The main part about this week for a lot of teams is just trying to get their reps for their guys, because the guys that don't make the teams, of course, they'll have other opportunities to play elsewhere. So I think that's what we're going to see. And I like the over on this one, to be quite honest with you.
I think it's a great point, Shantelle, because we think, all right, no Aaron Rodgers, probably not a lot of Patrick Mahomes, if any, or most of the starters on both sides, but you're still trying to find that competition. You still have NFL caliber players fighting for a roster spot, either with the Packers or the Chiefs or elsewhere around the National Football League. So it's a great point. Just because it's not Patrick Mahomes doesn't mean we're not going to see scoring and some competition. And the Chiefs have a lot of young stars they're trying to figure out in this new look offense. The same for the Green Bay Packers as well. We've seen Patrick Mahomes at times throughout this preseason, including last week against Washington, 12 of 19, over 120 yards and 2 passing scores in his 2 series for Kansas City. So as we look at this Chiefs team this year, they have won the AFC West 6 straight seasons, Shantelle. But on the other side, the Packers have won the NFC North 3 straight years as well. The NFC North is expected to be a little bit more competitive this year, with the Vikings maybe challenging Green Bay. But Shantelle, do you think this divisional title in the NFC North still runs through Aaron Rodgers and company?
Listen, Aaron Rodgers, you could argue, is still the best quarterback in the league, right? 37 touchdowns last year, only 4 interceptions. You're always going to be in the running, if you're the Packers, to have the division in the top spot in the division, because you have Aaron Rodgers and he still has targets like Randall Cobb, Lazard, and Sammy Watkins. I want to see what Sammy Watkins does as well with Aaron Rodgers. But the big thing about it is, how is he going to look without his favorite receiver, Davante Adams, right? I still think there's going to be an adjustment period, because when the game's on the line, that's the guy he would usually look to. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. And you mentioned the Vikings. I think the Vikings are going to give them a run for their money, right? They have a new head coach in Kevin O'Connell. They're going to be running that 3-4 defense. Kirk Cousins, they've given him the keys. They're going to let him ball out. They added linebacker Jordan Hicks, also Zadarius Smith, who knows the Packers very, very well. And then their offense, they have a Justin Jefferson. They have a Dalvin Cook. I really like the Minnesota Vikings this year, and I wouldn't be surprised if they actually win the division.
And there is some value for sure on Minnesota because of that minus 155 price on Green Bay. We showed you those numbers on Aaron Rodgers. How does the loss of Davante Adams affect Green Bay's offense this year? We'll have to see. 39.50.5, the passing yards prop from a season-long perspective for number 12 in Green Bay, a number he has gone over in 4 consecutive seasons. That's 3950.5, Shantelle. The number for Patrick Mahomes is a lot larger, 4,500 in a hook from the passing yards prop perspective this year for number 15 in Kansas City. But it's a similar conversation for both Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes, losing their favorite targets to new teams, because Tyreek Hill now is a member of the Miami Dolphins. What do you expect, Shantelle, out of KC's offense this year under Patrick Mahomes?
Well, I know you're a KC fan, if I'm not mistaken, as well.
You are correct.
But, you talked about Tyreek Hill and his departure, but they also added Juju Smith-Schuster. So at the same time, you lost a big piece, but you're adding Juju. And we know that Patrick Mahomes can sling it, and he makes everyone better around him. You still have Hardman. You still have Travis Kelce. This is still a high-potent offense, and I still think the Kansas City Chiefs are the favorite to win the AFC West. Now, you might see the Chargers who have a really, really good defense, try to test them in that division. It's the toughest division in all of football, but I still think Patrick Mahomes is going to have a great season. You look at last year, 37 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, over 4,800 yards. And at one point in the season, he was throwing a lot of interceptions, and the Kansas City Chiefs overcame adversity, made it to the AFC Championship game. I don't think you can ever count them out. Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, this is just a good duo, and Patrick Mahomes is able to spread around the ball, and it'll be interesting to see what Juju Smith-Schuster does in Kansas City.
It is going to be a fascinating discussion to follow all year long. Did the offense make the wide receiver, or was it the wide receiver that made the offense that much more explosive for both Tyreek Hill in Kansas City and Devontae Adams for Green Bay, now in their new homes, Devontae in Las Vegas, Tyreek Hill, of course, in South Beach with the Dolphins. The Chiefs have won 12 games each of the last 4 years. We'll see how that plays out for the Chiefs this season in 2022. Two names to keep an eye on, trying to replace the offensive production for Tyreek Hill. Out of that wide receiver core, Sky Moore, the rookie out of Western Michigan, tied for the fourth best odds to win Offensive Rookie of the Year, and Isaiah Pacheco, a running back out of Rutgers, who has caused a lot of excitement in Kansas City this offseason. All right, Shantelle, the second preseason game to start us off in week number 3 tonight in Houston between the Texans and the 49ers. San Francisco, also a road favorite, laying 3.5 points, and that total 6 points of difference from the game between the Packers and the Chiefs. It's 41 in a hook. What do you expect in this matchup tonight between San Francisco and Houston?
I think the 49ers are going to cover the points. I'm also going to take the under in this one. There is a lot of talk, however, that Trey Lance, he's going to get to play. There are going to be some starters for the 49ers that get to play as well. But when you think about it, they just have a lot more depth than Houston. Like, let's just keep it real here, right? We saw what Davis Mills did last week. He played in the first half. Houston has a lot to figure out. So I actually think this one might be a blowout. The fact that the 49ers are going to be playing their starters. And I'm also going to be taking the under because I feel like 41.5 is a little bit too high for this one.
Yeah, 41 and a hook is a really large total by preseason standards. Even after all the overs we saw during week 1 and the Hall of Fame game and the totals readjusted for week number 2 last week, they only really got up to 38.5, 39 and a hook. 41.5 tonight is a big one. Trey Lance played for San Francisco in their first preseason game, did not see any action week number 2. Brock Purdy, the rookie quarterback out of Iowa State, definitely looked good, though, for Kyle Shanahan and company. So when we look at this, Shantelle, we take the preseason to the regular season. You mentioned the Houston Texans, a 4.5 win total for 2022. It is the lowest on the board on the FanDuel Sportsbook. Those odds to win the Super Bowl, 300-1. The longest odds to win, Super Bowl 57. In your mind, Shantelle, what does a successful season look like for the Texans this year?
A successful season for the Texans would probably be winning maybe 5 games, right? Taking the over on that one, to be quite honest with you. There's a lot of questions in Houston that they're still trying to figure out. It's a young team, and I think it's going to be kind of an up and down year from them. A lot of downs as they try to figure things out. But at the same time, when you look at that 4.5 games, I might even take the under on that one. I think it's going to be difficult. They do play also in a tough division. Like, let's not sleep on that division as well, right? So I'm going to definitely say that I would say 5 games. If they won 5 games, that would mean that they overachieved.
Yeah, it's relative expectation, right? The odds makers are telling you on FanDuel 4.5 is their win total. It's the lowest in the NFL. The Texans are the betting favorites, if you will, or at least have the shortest number to have the worst regular season record in the National Football League this year. So if they can go over that expectation, maybe that's successful. Or maybe we bet Houston on a week-to-week basis. Last year, as an underdog in 16 of 17 regular season games, 8-8 against the spread. That's some profitability on those Texans. So, Shantelle, you've been getting ready for this NFL regular season. You've been going through team win totals all across the board. Who's an NFL team in your mind people are sleeping on entering 2022?
I think it has to be the Pittsburgh Steelers. Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season. Right now, the over-under is at 7.5. I'm going to take the over on that one. That defense is absolutely loaded. I think there's a lot of questions because of the quarterback position. Who is going to be the starter? Is it going to be Trubisky? Is it going to be Pickett later on in the year? The fact of the matter is, it's an upgrade from Big Ben last season, if you think about it.
Yeah, certainly.
Yes. So I think when you take a look at that and the fact that the Steelers have such a good defense, they're absolutely loaded. They also have weapons on offense as well. Like, we don't talk about Deontay Johnson enough. They have a Chase Claypool. There's so many weapons that they have. So I think the Steelers are going to win more than 7.5 games, and they're a sleeper for me this season.
They have won at least 8 games in all 15 years that Mike Tomlin has been the head coach. And yes, it's a new quarterback, whoever it ends up being for most of this season, between Mitchell Trubisky or Kenny Pickett or maybe even Mason Rudolph. But the last 2 years under Big Ben, when they made the playoffs each of the past 2 seasons, it was the same name and face in Ben Roethlisberger, but not the same Ben Roethlisberger from a production standpoint. So there's probably not all that much drop off there. And if the Steelers defense can return to the stats they had in the 2020 NFL regular season, when they were top 5 in both scoring and total defense, we might see some success for the Steelers in 2022. FanDuel Shantelle Chan joining us here on the morning after on this Thursday, preseason week 3, and looking forward to the regular season as well. Shantelle, only 2 more weeks and only 2 days from the start of the college football season, as you mentioned earlier as well. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me, guys, and enjoy the final week of preseason games. And yeah, football right around the corner.
We certainly will, and we'll talk here very, very soon. So tonight, we might see Patrick Mahomes. We won't see Aaron Rodgers, but there's some comparison between these State Farm buddies. So who would you rather have as the quarterback on your team? We use the preseason to spark a little debate and fade the public up next here on the morning after.
The early line.
They sent out a Jordan Montgomery, who evidently is the best pitcher in baseball. I know it's the Cubs. I don't care. A complete game one-hitter.
And how about this, too? On the road in Chicago at Wrigley against one of your hated rivals here. Now, we know the Chicago Cubs aren't having a great season by any stretch of 52-69, but these are the type of wins that you need.
Only on Sports Grid.
You might be the next daily fantasy millionaire. No matter what you watch or where you play, learn from the world's best DFS players. Lineup building tools, expert projections, and advanced stats change the way you play the game. Dominate the competition. DailyRoto.com, the player's choice.
The morning after.
Why are you buying in on Dylan's stock for 2022?
Aaron Jones has been remarkably consistent for the Packers, and I kind of see him playing almost Alvin Kamara role in the slot, sitting about wide. And I think they're going to try and save him from taking this, ground and pound, and they're going to leave that role to A.J. Dillon to have this kind of more of a balanced approach because they need a little more consistency in their passing game. I think it helps that the Packers' offensive line is right now ranked 5th.
The Sports Grid Network. Pharrell, coast to coast.
Do you believe he has the stones to fire both of them? His dad would have.
I don't. I think Boone is safe, no matter what happens. Maybe if they don't win the East, but that's almost impossible. So I think he's safe. Cashman's contract, I believe, is up after this year. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I would think he'd be in a lot more trouble than Boone would.
The Sports Grid Network. Fantasy Sports Today.
The running back that appears to make the biggest jump maybe in the last 2 months, maybe in all of fantasy, honestly, Davis, is Dameon Pierce, who played for the University of Florida. And the beef that went on at Florida, Davis, is that people wanted to see him get the ball more. He really was never a primary running back at Florida. He's sort of a throwback guy in the sense that you give him the ball, he's never going to lose yards.
The Sports Grid Network.
Rounding out hour number 1 of the morning after, live right here on this Thursday, all across the Spiz Grizz Network. That's Sports Grid. You've been listening on Sirius XM, channel 159. That's the home for Sports Grid Radio on Sirius XM. And thank you for watching wherever you have been. I am Ben Stevens. The final week of the NFL preseason, week number 3 of preseason games, starts tonight. And one of them is in Kansas City, one of the two. The Chiefs host the Packers, the Texans host the Niners. And Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, 2 of the 5 best odds to win the NFL MVP award for this upcoming season. Of course, Aaron Rodgers has won it in 2 consecutive years. Patrick Mahomes has been a most valuable player in his NFL career as well. Who would you rather have as the quarterback of your favorite team entering the 2022 NFL campaign? That's the question we asked you in Fade the Public. So which QB would you rather have this season? Not for the entirety of the rest of their career or to build a team around. It's not fair. Aaron Rodgers is 38. Patrick Mahomes is 25, I believe. And as we ask that question to the public, most still say, though, Patrick Mahomes, his no-look passes and everything that Mahomes can do from that magical perspective. Nearly 67% of the public would rather have Patrick Mahomes as their quarterback than Aaron Rodgers. And from the odds maker perspective, Aaron Rodgers' passing yards prop for this season, 39.50 and a half. Patrick Mahomes is at 4,500 in a hook. Now, here's the thing about Patty, as I called him, and I know that's probably not the term that he would prefer, but Patrick Mahomes last year was seen to have a very down year because he was a little bit more reckless with the football, 13 interceptions, fumbling the ball away a little bit, but still threw for 4,800 yards, well over that prop of 4,500 in a hour. Hour number 2 of the morning after is up next, live right here on Sportsman.